All right, what is up, friends and fellow anti-netters? What I want to show you is Zettelkasten in a nutshell. Now, you don't need to read How to Take Smart Notes by Zonke Arens to know what a Zettelkasten is. Actually, in fact, if you read that book, you're probably going to be even more confused, and you're actually going to learn the wrong way of how Zettelkasten works. I don't think that guy even freaking knows how Zettelkasten works, okay? And, that guy is essentially invented all of his own terms on, like, Zettelkasten, which then it's been essentially, bastardized and carried forth by all of these frickin' Zettelkasten wannabes that use like Rome Research and Obsidian and just link your thinking. And it's just all convoluted bullcrap. Like if you search like Zettelkasten online, you're probably going to end up on the Reddit Zettelkasten forum, which is just a mix of people. They don't even produce or create any content. All they do is like they're professional comment and Reddit trolls that talk about how Zettelkasten is supposed to work, where they don't even actually know what a Zettelkasten is. So here's what it is, and here's how to actually use it. So let's say you're reading a book, okay? So I'm reading this book, and it's about F. Scott Fitzgerald. Okay, what you do is you use something while you're reading called a bib card, okay? And, frickin' Zonke Arens called these like literature notes, but he piss poorly explained it. I don't even think he knows what it is. But here's how you do it. And what you do is while you're reading, you put a page number, and then you write like a brief idea of what that page reminded you of and, called to mind, like a concept. So we're going to zoom in on number 93, failure and rejection. Okay, so when I was reading page number 93, I came across like a fantastic piece. I'm going to show you it. I'm just going to show you kind of where it is, and it's essentially right here. I usually don't do this, but I marked it up. It's this passage right here. Okay, so after I'm done reading, what I do is I go and look up, this is the index box of your Zettelkasten. Of course, this is not mentioned by Zonke Arens really, and it's maybe vaguely mentioned by him, if anything. And, he may call it a register. He doesn't even explain it. Like he has no idea what the hell he's talking about, basically. Okay, so that's a theme of mine, by the way. I just like to crap on authors that don't basically don't know what they're talking about. Okay, so anyway, what you do is your index is organized alphabetically by topic. Okay, so what I do is I look up failure. There's my card about failure. I then am pointed into the main part of my Zettelkasten, which these are all organized by number, kind of like in academic disciplinary fields. I got like the 1000s is like my arts and humanities, and 200s like sciences, stuff like that. 500s is like applied sciences, life philosophy, things like that. You can come up with your own numbering convention and theme. Okay, these are kind of like the top level of how you want to organize it. Really anything works as long as you basically create your own numbering theme. So for me, my failure section was like, these 5100s, okay? Like around here, the 5000s, okay? And what you do is you kind of like jog your mind and remind yourself of what you've written about in regards to failure. And so for me, what I did is I created a new card and I numbered it accordingly, okay? And, by the way, if you want like a freaking PhD in this, then I've written an insane book. It's 594 pages. It's took me like a year and a half, really 2 years of researching, writing. It's you can get everything that you want and need there. But I'm just going to show you the basics of all you need. You don't need that to get started, okay? So what I did was I loved this quote. And so what I did is I actually just excerpted and wrote out the quote by hand, okay? So I'll read it to you. It says, he spent, and by he it means F. Scott Fitzgerald, he spent most of his nights writing stories, verse, jokes, anything that might sell until the walls of 200 Claremont Avenue near Columbia University were covered with rejection slips. During the spring of 1919, he wrote 19 stories and accumulated 122 rejections. Now, I thought that this was fascinating because this was right before he hit it big and wrote his first book called This Side of Paradise. So next time I want to write about failure, I want to recall and bring to mind this example. And I don't want to have to necessarily dig back in the book to find it. So that's why I wrote it out. And I also wrote it out by hand because I wanted to kind of implant it in my mind and neuro imprint it on my memory, right? And that's what also happens when you write things by hand. You spend a lot more time with it so that you're able to recall it for a lot longer. And so the last piece is, I write this in red. This is like my reference to where it came from. So I wrote Brucoli Matthew, as you can see, Author's last name is Briccoli, comma, Matthew, and Some Sort of Epic Grandeur, page 93. Now, that's where I can just go straight to the book. What's also cool is I know that, okay, Briccoli Matthew, I know that I'm also have created, as you can see, a bibliography card. I call these bib cards, which after I'm done reading this book, I just simply file this card in the bibliography box. You see that red? The bibliography box of my Zettelkasten. That way I can also see I can basically get re-reminded of the book and the concepts that I learned in a book just on one card, which is freaking amazing. That way you don't have like all these disconnected notes all over your Zettelkasten, but like one area that kind of like summarizes the entire book to kind of get refresh on the entire book that you just read. So that's it. That's it in a nutshell. I don't know why I took, some freaking academic, meaning Zonke Arendt's How to Take Smart Notes, where he wrote like literally like one paragraph describing that, and he described it piss poorly, inventing his own terms, which are then carried forth and snowballed into a bunch of confusing online Zettelkasten videos. And then, in like Zonke Arendt's book, pretty much like 96% of the book is about just all this other irrelevant stuff, like, getting in flow and all of that. So if you want to get like the history, the background, details on the numbering scheme, classification systems, all that stuff, sure, you can read my 594-page beast, which I went into detail actually on how a Zettelkasten works, but you don't need to. That's frickin' how it works. So hopefully that helps you. The best thing to do is just get started, and, well, always remember to stay crispy, my friend. Peace.